Welcome to UK Theme Parks. My name's Adam, and today we are back with Planet Coaster. That's right, we're back with Planet Coaster now. We're not into a mini series this time, or a series this time. For those that want a series, make sure you've checked out our winter park. I'd say Christmas park. It was a bit of a Christmas park, but our winter park, which we did leading up to Christmas. That was our last full park which we've done, and we've done a couple on the channel, and we are sort of halfway through one, but you know, the smaller parks I think is where it's at. However, on this occasion we are going to be building a series of mini rides, or rides, which can go into existing parts, the blueprints of which we will put on the workshop, or hopefully put on the workshop. Now the idea of this is, you know, when I'm creating a big park, I love to do the theming, I love to kind of get the rides up and running, and then I kind of get the urge that I just want it finished. I can't lie to you, I just want it finished. So in my head, in my theory, if I build a few small rides, I will use these then in the next series which we do. So we're looking at about 3 or 4 rides, nothing too major, but 3 or 4 rides, starting off with this Wild Mouse style spinning roller coaster. The game doesn't actually have a Wild Mouse coaster, a particularly good one. It has the wooden one, which acts sort of differently. But you know, for a good Wild Mouse style one, we are going to go with the Mara style spinning one, 4 seats to either side facing opposite directions. Quite a common kind of look, Dragon's Fury, Spinball Whizzer sort of ride. The idea is we're going to make these fairly compact. The ride which we're doing now will be themed to a Western style. A Western style one, so you can guarantee our next park will indeed have a Western style section, whichever we decide to do. As we said, there are a few series already on the channel which include the Christmas park, but also includes the pier which we built, which has got some rather unique features and rides on it as well. So be sure to check those out if you're into Planet Coaster. Now then, this one, ignore the colour scheme at the moment, we are just trying to get this built. We are going for something fairly compact, very family orientated. You know, it's going to be quite slow to begin with, to be honest, and then it's going to pick up a little bit of pace. We're going to have sort of, you know, a much faster finale and a much faster kind of into the station feel. Being themed to the Western, we are going to theme the whole of the ride with a really good fascia sort of looking, you know, shop, building, offices sort of look. The ride which you see at the front there, as the overhang bit, will actually come out of the building and go across the front. So people on the ride will be able to sort of look at it, and people off the ride, again, will be able to look up at it. The queue will also be incorporated into the front of this building. There'll be a spiral staircase going up before coming back down to the opposite side of sort of where you can see it now. We'll move the gates to the other side. We're testing it as we go. We're hoping to get 4 or 5 cars on this, and as you can see, we have put block brakes in the middle, because putting block brakes in the middle allows us to run more cars smoothly. We don't really want the cars stopping at any point, so we definitely have to you know, make a few changes to the speeds, make a few changes to the blocks in order for it to run smoothly. Now the front of the building here, which you can see going up now, we're going to make it so the center of it goes between tracks, so you can see that the tracks will come out of the 2 center buildings, and fortunately when you only build the front, you can then center it quite nicely without adding too much theming before kind of scenery and down the side. As we said, it is going to be a little bit of an overhang, so what you'll see here is us putting the sides up, and we're also going to put some boards across the top, sort of a walkway by the track. This will go right the way across, stretch right across under the track, and of course we will have some fences at the front as well. Give it that kind of, you know, out the door, back in the door sort of look. Quite high up, we'll probably remove those supports as well. There we go, we'll remove the supports so they're not hanging over the front, and what we'll do is we'll get a couple of sort of wooden style tree stumps here to place along as supports to really kind of integrate it into the building. Now underneath, as we said, we are looking to put, you know, your saloon style, your kind of offices style as well, and there'll be sort of an abandoned open look, a very strange sort of look and design to this, one which we don't normally use when we do Western, to be perfectly honest with you. The fences going across the front now will you know, sort of highlight the fact that the ride is part of the building, and we'll have a couple of models and small animatronics as well across the top and indeed underneath. We kind of want to take our time a little bit with the fascia. The fascia is arguably the most important part of it, but the building will stretch around the back as well. The building will cover the whole of the ride. We intend to have a platform going down the the initial spiral part as well, and the platform will then level down towards the building, and then we'll have something underneath. We'll have a bit of rock work underneath. We might have the water fountain or the windmill as well underneath. Yeah, we're going to add as much of the scenery as we can in this really compact design. It's important to have a roof over the front here, and we will again theme across the top to sort of hide some of the bits, and then from there we will build some of the buildings. Of course, we can't forget the fact that the the path, the ride itself, needs to come out. So that will come out of this door, and then this door at the right hand side now of what you see will form the entrance to the queue. With these two parts here, you're seeing that the queue will spiral up and actually go back out at the front so people can see, and indeed other people can see in the queue, before spiraling back down. Being Wild West, it's got sort of an American style, isn't it? So, the flags are coming out for this one, the banners and things, and we'll use those across the front as a main highlight, a certain main highlight too at the front of the building, which drapes down either side. Now then, a few posts on the inside, and then we can actually start filling in a few bits and pieces. So we're going to start with the top bit here, which is the walkway. This part here is, where a thin path, and we do mean, the thin queuing path will come out. And we're also going to cage this in as well. So once you're in there, you're in there. And from a safety point of view, obviously, if it's all caged in, we know that no one's going to do anything stupid and walk off the edge or fall off the edge. We'll have a bit of scenery here, but I think with the cages we're going to use, we're going to make it look more like a jail scene. Quite simply, as you see there, the jail scene, cages across the top, and of course the bard on the inside. Very, very simple to be honest with you. And we'll put the pathway through here, and as you can see, the cages sort of slant and turn at the same time. Yeah, a little bit of decoration across here. We'll have some lights under as well. We want to make sure the ride is accessible at night and is all kind of lit up appropriately. And of course, you can spend a long time on Planet Coaster. You can spend ages on it. You can spend forever on it if you want to, doing all the scenery, adding finishing touches. And we don't pretend to be expert builders here. We've seen some absolutely incredible designs on the workshop. We kind of want to keep it fairly basic. I could spend longer on this, but quite honestly, I don't have time. And when you overload, people will know now they've got the console one in particularly. When you overload it, you kind of use all the space, and the park slows down a bit. And the same is very much on a PC. I've got a fairly good PC to run this, but even then, once you get sort of 10, 15 highly detailed rides in, the frame rate sort of drops to 40 frames per second. So we want to keep that up. And we are looking at attention to detail, though, as you can see here, rather than, we're lining up the lights absolutely perfectly to hang on the hanging signs. We're not, taking it and just sort of dumping it. The theming we are doing, we do want to put in properly. And of course, if you wanted to download it, you can do so and hopefully enjoy it based on that. So a few windows on the front, a couple of animatronics as well sitting in here. And of course, a guard style one for the queue line, a clock tower at either end. And then we're going to build out very, very slightly. So what we'll do is we'll put sort of a bar scene in the middle. That's along with some of the other scenery, and then of course we can build around it and make it more like a hut, if you will. I'm not entirely sure we're going to put a shop in here. Maybe we will put a shop in here. Actually, it might make sense to put a shop in here. Label it all up, get it all ready. As you can see down the end, we've put sort of offices. We'll use these wonderful wanted signs. I love these signs. Here we go, a little bar in there. Look, label it bar, and we'll have offices on this side. So yeah, the front bit's going to be quite nicely decorated, but we do need to do something with the back as well. The back is really, really important that we do something with the back. But we'll finish off here first. We'll just get this nice and simple, nice little lantern, lamp on the outside, a couple of aerials, and of course we do need to build in this bit. So we'll build in this bit around. This will be the exit, and this will be just sort of, again, a little singing area. We'll get some animatronics in there, put some nice wood either side. Yeah. We'll just get it done. We'll just get it done at the front, get this bit finished before we move on to the back. Nice little platform. You've got a wonderful sort of singing piano and various other bits we can put here, as well as some of the, old Western style animatronics. I love some of the animatronics the game has are absolutely superb. They really, really are. Some trunks and a bandstand. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. We'll get the front bit done. before moving to the back. Now the back is going to be a little bit more tricky. Those that have tried to theme and do a whole roller coaster will know how difficult it is to actually theme the whole roller coaster, to be honest, or at least give it the impression that you theme the whole roller coaster. It really is quite tricky to do. If you're doing a dark ride style, it's a little bit easier, and of course if you've kind of done an underground dark style one, you can have dead spots, if you will. You can have dead spots of black, maybe with just some flashing lights. You don't necessarily need scenery all the way around. But when you're making an outdoor one like this one, it does make it a little bit more difficult. Now, of course, the path we're putting in here, which you'll see, you won't be able to get on the blueprint. Sadly, you can't save past the blueprint. But we're still going to put it in so you can see exactly what it will look like once the path's in, and indeed have guidance of where to put the path. And the path will come over, and the important thing of this as well is that we will build the scenery around the path, because there's very little point in building some scenery and then having nowhere to put the path. The amount of times I've done that, I cannot stress to you the amount of times I've done that. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Honestly, if you're building something like this, please remember to put the path in before you build the scenery around it. It's so much easier. It really is so much easier. And now, of course, we can start on the rest of it. Now, this bit at the front is really just a fascia. Nothing else than a fascia. We're not having a whole building over the ride. We're not looking to have really, sides all the way down at all. So we are going to fill this bit in as a fascia and then build off of it. The station then will be sort of enclosed, and we will have a platform underneath the station as well, so you're not seeing the grass, and the platform will extend across the whole base of the ride, so you're not seeing the grass, you're not seeing the ground underneath it, and you are having at least some scenery on the floor. Now, as you can see here, the way we've blocked it, we can fit 4 trains in the station. There is going to be 5 on this. I'll be slightly out. The roof which we'll put on will go just above. There we go. So yeah, just above where just got to fit it around the path, don't we? Have to fit it around the path. But yeah, just in line with the pathway, which is absolutely perfect. So we've put it in the space where obviously we can line it straight up. And again, we'll have a little bit of scenery in here. We don't want too much scenery in here. I'm a firm believer of a theme in the outside the ride. Unless we're doing a dark ride, I tend to keep the inside parts quite simple. I know you can go for spectacular detail. We've seen, churches and things like that, which again are absolutely incredible. They really, really are. But we're going to keep it fairly simple. These rides, we're not amazing at highly detailed, but we can kind of get by. That's the best way we're putting it. So a few animatronics. We've got the track coming in. We've also made sure we've got the walkway all the way along as well. Another thing I always forget is the walkway for the coasters. When I build the coasters, I always forget the evacuation platform, and it's just a nice touch to have as it's there. But yeah, we will theme it up, and we will block in the side part here, but literally just the side part. And this is before we move on to the kind of drop area of the ride. So yeah, we've got to think about what we're going to put in the middle here, and we'll probably play and tinker with a few bits. Rather than kind of, gauging exactly what we want. And we're going to fill in the top bit now, so that bit is done. As we said, this is the back of the ride. This is, a completely different fascia to what we've got on the front. Now then, the part where the cars are coming down now is where we want to have completely flat. At the same time, what we're testing here is that everything goes through the holes all right, because there's nothing worse, and I mean nothing worse, than building the scenery to find out that the cars go through it. But of course, before we put, I say the roof bit on, it's going to look like a roof over this, but before we put the platform on over the first drop area, we do need to build up underneath, and for that we're going to use the Western rocks. So the rock work in this is stunning. It really is stunning, and of course you can use the ground tool as well. The terrain tool is very, very good, very, very good, very comprehensive. You can color it in and you can make it look anything you like if you've selected the right terrain at the beginning if you're in sandbox mode. But of course, again, where we're putting this, or hoping to put this on the workshop, there's very little point, and I mean very little point in using the terrain tool, because anyone that downloads it then won't be able to see it. So it's very important that we put the rock work in manually, and you don't need to put a lot in either, and you don't necessarily need to mix up the shapes too much. You can put a ground base in with some of the big rocks, and then just add a few little rocks here and there. And if you're building it around a really tight ride like this, I mean, this is, you know, when you're dealing with compact rides, it's very, very difficult to do. And with it being a bit western, we are going to go for sort of an old mineshaft sort of style, if you will. So we're going to make this look really rugged. We're not going to, you know, it's not going to match perfectly. It's just going to look like it's knocked together and about to fall over. And that's the look we're going for. We will check, obviously, that the cars don't hit it on the way round, because that is hugely, hugely important. And we'll put a corrugated roof on the top. You know, again, it's going to look really, really rustic. That is the idea, for it to look rustic. Give it a little bit undercover without actually being, you know, completely enclosed. And that's the great part about some of the scenery on this. You can manipulate it however you like. You can use the wood however you like. You can colour it however you like. And, you know, you can fit it in between gaps. And the good thing with the spinning coaster as well, when you're testing the spinning coaster, although potentially if it's spun in a different direction, you could potentially hit some of these. Because it doesn't, you can get away with just leaving them really close for some really close effects. Little detail underneath as well in the rocks, a little bit of wood across there. And yeah, filling in the blanks now. We will also have a little bit more rock work down the side once we've put a few more of the beams up. And the beams will, you know, barely hold this roof up, you know, nailed together last moment. I love the rustic look. This is what I love about the western scene. The rustic look is just, it's just so authentic. It really is authentic. You know, these kind of things aren't put together properly, if you will. They're just literally thrown together last minute, just so they're there, just so they had up. And the same sort of on a mine, you know, in a mine shaft, you rarely see them sort of, you know, perfect. You kind of see them at angles, wood at angles. And this is what we want to go for. We're tinkering with a few other bits of scenery, but quite honest, I don't know whether we're going to have anything big down the bottom. I think we'll probably keep it as it is. Now, as we said, we do want to make sure there is a platform for, you know, this bit under here, which we've done. And then, of course, we're going to move on to the top. So the top bit is going to layer down much like the track does, a little layer at a time, every couple, and we'll join to the other part of the building. So as you can see here, we've done it in blocks of 2. We will then fill in the blanks with the wall, and we will have a bit at the back with, again, like a you know, shop scene, you know, style scene at the back. It's going to be really, really important that we you know, add a bit of detail as you come off the lift hill, and it makes you feel like you're still in the ride. Rather than most coasters where you just view out to the rest of the park, we want to make it fairly enclosed. We'll put a little bit of scenery up here as well. Yeah, houses, shops. Now we do want to fit probably, yeah, I think we'll put the windmill up here, and I think we'll put the water tower underneath. And with the water tower as well, we'll have a little spray coming out of it. Why not? Little few effect coming out of it. We could add a fire effect somewhere along the way, but I think we'll stick with more of a water one for this. I think it'll fit a little bit better. Now, of course, we can't just have this balance in, so the back of this is going to have some support. And again, we'll put some support on the front as well. Get that all fixed in to make it look like it's all balanced at once. We're going to use the rock work again to prop up some of the water tower. Again, hugely important to you know, make it really feel like it's part of the theme. And then continue the rock work underneath as well to, you know, engage the curve as part of the rock. So the curve going up and down and to the side makes it look like that the rocks are indeed building the curve. We're going to have a little water effect on there. It's not going to hit riders. It's not going to go anywhere. We're not going to put any kind of water in the ground because, again, it wouldn't translate very well to the workshop. But we do want to enclose it as much as we can underneath, which we've done here. So we're going to have a little minecart under there. You know, we want a bit of scenery, so you're whizzing around the side of the rocks, whilst on the inside you'll be able to see what's going on. And again, you know, it's quite important that a lot of this ride happens over this and under this, that we just sort of fill in the blanks and, you know, really make it feel like you're part of the experience and you're at a theme park, not necessarily flown around in the open. Now, of course, there are sides to this. If you were building a western area, I'm sure there would be other things to look at. But if not, you can just sort of plonk the ride down. That said, here it is. This is the ride. So what we're going to do now is we're going to recolor it and make sure it's the right color. And then, of course, we're going to take you on ride. Thank you for joining us here on UK Theme Parks for another Planet Coaster build. This was the Wild Wine Ride. Check it out on the workshop. We will be uploading to there very, very shortly. Really hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.